All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's call. It's titled, "The One Thing Your Reporting is Missing." We're going to focus on Global Software's product Spreadsheet Server today and show you how it can save you time in your reporting and to streamline that process. Joining me on the call, my name is Glennon Andrews, I guess, to begin. I'm an Excel automation advisor. So I'm in a sales role. I'm going to do a little introduction at the beginning of the call today, and then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Kevin Gibson. Kevin is a CPA. He's a former financial reporting manager and a former controller prior to joining Global Software. And he was actually a user of Spreadsheet Server in his previous role. So he sat on your side of one of these calls, and he understands, some of the challenges you face and how Spreadsheet Servers help to overcome those. So I'm going to give a little bit of background on our company, and then I will hand it over to him for the demonstration. So to begin, Global Software was founded in 1973. Our headquarters are in Raleigh, North Carolina, but we also have sales and support offices in New York and outside of Seattle, as well as remote employees across the U.S. So what that boils down to is if you become a customer and you need support, you're going to reach somebody here in the U.S. If you do have international offices or say calls after hours, we do have international offices in the UK and in Perth, Australia as well to service those needs. We are the #1 provider of Microsoft Excel-based automation solutions for the worldwide marketplace. We have over 5,000 customers in over 120 countries. We do have some testimonials here on the screen that I wanted to share, but essentially what our customers are doing is they're streamlining both financial and operational reporting using Spreadsheet Server. That's what we're going to discuss today. So we're going to do a broad overview of the tool, but if you are interested, we'll be able to speak to some specific ways, or even, for instance, our customers Lidl, Liggett, and the National Federation of Independent Business, just to name a few on both Oracle and PeopleSoft users using our product. And Lasco distributors, for instance, they're saving upwards of 300 hours in a single year using the tool. And again, both for financial and operational reporting, really reaching anything in those data sources and outside of that as well. Also, I thought we could mention we are a great replacement tool for Discover and for FSGs and also for Navision. So if that's something you're struggling with today, or it's maybe not quite as smooth at building those reports, that's definitely something that we can help out with as well. What we're going to see today, we're going to be looking at our tool Spreadsheet Server. It's an Excel add-in. There's no hardware necessary for the tool, but once it is set up and connected to your database, it's going to pull in live data. So you're not going to have to copy and paste or dump data anymore, but once it is in Excel, it's going to give you the ability to refresh reports. And then you can also drill down to transactional level detail from within Excel as well. And then as far as the screen shows ad hoc reporting in our Query Designer tool, you're basically going to be able to build these reports. Your non-technical end users are going to be able to build them themselves using simple Excel functionality for the most part once the formulas are inserted into the worksheet. So Kevin will show you how to build a report from scratch today, as well as showing you some of the templates that we already have built. And then another piece of Spreadsheet Server that it's included, it's a part of the toolbar that's installed initially, is Distribution Manager. And what that's going to allow you to do is set up a distribution list, and with one click of a button, you're going to be able to send out those reports to anyone, whether they have Spreadsheet Server or not. Whether they have a license of it, they'll be able to at least still receive static reports, or if they do have a license, they'll be able to refresh it and use all those features that we're going to show today that you receive with the tool. So at this time, I am going to hand it over to Kevin. He'll show you why our motto is Start in Excel, Stay in Excel. But I just want to let everyone know and mention that there is a Q&A box at the top of the screen. So if you have questions along the way, feel free to submit those, and I'll make sure to stop and answer any questions you have as we go through the presentation. So at this time, I will hand it over to Kevin.
Well, thank you, and welcome, everyone. Again, my name is Kevin Gibson. I'm going to walk you through a high-level presentation here today. Certainly, we will not get to all the functionality, all the features that we bring with our product. Today's idea and concept is to give you, again, the overview of what we can do If you would like more information, we will have at the end of the call today some contact information. We can even set up presentations specifically geared toward your challenges and your struggles and to your organization to focus, again, primarily on what you may see as an advantage with Spreadsheet Server. Now, our product, as Glendon had mentioned, is called Spreadsheet Server. At the top of the screen, if you can see this Excel workbook, you will see a ribbon labeled just that. Now, that ribbon is what drives all of the functionality related to, again, what we provide in Excel. Every individual who wants to be able to do what I'm going to show you here today will have to have that ribbon. They are considered a user. That will give them access to live, read-only data, refreshable templates and report building capabilities, and then ultimately the ability to distribute. Now, that ribbon is just an add-in to your existing Excel workbook. It works just like all the other Excel ribbons do. So you'll notice to the left of that is the remaining Excel functionality that you already know and use today. So we are just going to combine the two in order to set up reports like the one that we've started with on your screen. If you want to use pivot tables and VLOOKUPs and charts and graphs and borders and colors, you absolutely can. Rounding functions, you can just reference data in from other Excel worksheets and workbooks if you would like to. Excel becomes the interface into the data. Now, once these reports are built, they are always built. You don't have to recreate them. You have the ability to also distribute, whether it's internal, external, live data, or static data. But just keep in mind, these reports are connected directly to the source information, whether that's Oracle, whether it's PeopleSoft, or whether it's any other connection that you may have or need inside of your environment. A lot of our customers today, well over half of them, are connected not only to their general ledger and their operational data, but into timekeeping software, payroll information, fixed asset software, or just static data that's sitting on a SQL server out there. So keep in mind, we're not just specific to one type of data or connection. All of it can be done inside of these workbooks or templates that you build and create. Now, as far as the Spreadsheet Server ribbon itself, it does not require an additional hardware or component or data warehouse. There's no server element. There is nothing that sits between our product and your data. It is a direct connection. As I mentioned, it is read-only. And on top of that, we're reading all of the security that you have in place today. So users cannot access data inside of these spreadsheets that they couldn't get to as if they were logged directly into your connection itself. Again, Oracle or PeopleSoft in this case. So the restrictions are there, Excel is there, live data is there, you have the best of both worlds. We're an Oracle partner, we're a Microsoft partner, so we have you covered on both sides of the data and functions as far as they're concerned. Now, there are two elements in every spreadsheet that relate directly to our product that I'll point out. The first you may have already noticed. In every cell within this workbook, there is a formula that's embedded wherever we are pulling data directly from that system. So in this case, I'm using an Oracle connection, but this easily could be PeopleSoft or any other piece of information. As far as the user is concerned, they're just going to use Excel to generate the reports. But there is a formula that is driving that data. That formula also drives the other functions that are located on the ribbon. Now, we don't ask users to understand the formula. We don't ask them to code or create it. All we ask them to do is use it. We're going to show you how this Build a Template feature located in the center of the ribbon automatically sets that up and inserts it into the template that you would like to build. Now, that formula is connected to parameters, which is the second component inside of every spreadsheet. Now, parameters can be located anywhere in your workbook or worksheet. They can be any type of information that you would like to filter on. Now, in this example, I am using a company, a department, a month, and a year to drive the balances in my template. As I modify those parameters, you will notice that the balances automatically recalculate and they update for whatever selection that I make. So that company 1 and department 410 for the month of June for the year of 2007 are ultimately what you see in the spreadsheet. Now, if you would like to look at something different, all you have to do is select the cell or the parameter that you would like to modify. You can key the new parameter in the template, or in this case, I have a drop-down list available that guides me through what I have access to. So if you want to see Department 420 as an example, simply select it. You will notice the word value and or pending in the template. And all that simply means is the report is recalculating with the new information. Remember, if someone just made a journal entry or posted a batch of data that affects your report, simply refreshing and recalculating will update and give you access immediately to that data. If you want to continue to keep modifying, you want to do ranges, you want to select 3 separate departments and consolidate those together, we even provide you with a wildcard or this asterisk symbol as a standalone that consolidates all of your data based on that parameter into the template. So by selecting that option, again, a recalculation, and here in just a few seconds, you have a consolidated income statement. The same conversation works on balance sheets, cash flows, operational reports, sales data, inventory, fixed assets, whatever you're using today, the functionality will be the same. Parameters, formulas, live data, immediate access to any changes or updates that may be occurring as you're working in that spreadsheet. Now, I want to focus back on that formula for just a second because that's also driving a lot of the other functions that you will be able to take advantage of. So if I click on that repair and maintenance cell or any other cell in this spreadsheet, that formula also drives the functions on the ribbon. One of the most popular features is the drill down option. We are looking at summarized data in this report, but I would like to dive deeper into those templates or those balances and see what's going on with that information. By highlighting that cell, selecting the drill down option on the ribbon, you will see this panel that appears on the screen. Now, this panel is housing the information related to that approximate $1.4 million balance, which is also noted in the drill down panel itself. Inside the panels, you have the ability to filter and sort the information accordingly. If you would like to click on the headers, as we call them, you want to sort by amount, click once or click twice, ascending or descending. Click on the description. You can do alphabetical. You can even drag these different descriptions right above where they sit. As an example, the department, you also want to group it by account number. Notice the information is grouped accordingly, and that lower level detail is still available. Drag that information back into the panel. You can change the order. You want the account number first and the department second. You absolutely can. Drag those back into any order that you would like. You can even move them around. You want the description on the left-hand side, you just drag and drop it there. At any point, there is a little option tab here. This allows you to export the data out into any form or fashion. So if you want to send it to Excel, CSV files, PDF documents, you absolutely have that capability, which allows you to be able to send this to anyone. Even though you have access to a specific type of functionality, the detail that you're working with or the reports that you're viewing can be sent to someone who needs to see it as well, internal or external. We will dive a little bit deeper into that function when we talk about the distribution capabilities. Now, if you'd like to drill further, you can. If you notice a category here that you need more information on, maybe you need to see all of the data that's here, you can select as many lines that are available in the drill down. By double-clicking on any line, that will also automatically drill you down into the information. So this construction labor category, which is a very large balance and doesn't fit in with the rest of the categories here, if I just double-click on it, you will notice it will return the next level of detail. Again, the journal information. So even though we started out at the summarized level, account balances, journals, if I double-click again, I can even have the capability to drill directly into, in this case, expenses, which will take me into accounts payable, or maybe even the invoice image. Notice I have access to an image drill down. I also have access to the accounts payable module, which if I select that, will also appear on my screen. You can have as many drill downs as you want in a panel. You can drill down to access within inside of your system. As long as it's there, you can see it. So completing the accounting cycle from balances to journals to the transactional, even into the vendors themselves. If I was on the revenue side, I can drill into accounts receivable and have that type of access, and again, even the invoice image information. So this will be the conversation that we have today. We're going to talk about using that ribbon. We're going to talk about how you build reports. Certainly we're going to talk about how you use them. But just keep in mind, most of what we'll show you is Excel features and functions. Combine that with your live data, and now you have access to everything that you need in an area where you spend most of your time, which is in Excel. Now, I do want to repeat something that Glennon had mentioned. Questions or comments, please submit those to the Q&A box. We will stop periodically through this conversation today to take a look at those. Glennon will certainly interrupt me if he finds any, but we will certainly do a lot of the questions as well at the end of the call today. But the next phase that I would like to jump into is the build a template and the building of reports. And as far as information is concerned, again, remember, this is a great FSG replacement tool. This is a great Discover replacement tool. And as far as Envision as well, we absolutely can take advantage of pre-built reports that you already have, pre-built content that you already have it all located in one easy spot to use. You do not have to be a technical individual in order to use this, as we will walk you through how you create reports from scratch. Now, the next tab in this workbook is labeled Sheet 1. Now, this tab I want to impress upon you is just Excel. This is not a special template that's needed. It doesn't take 6 months of consulting work for you to be able to use this product. To get you installed, to get you up and running, whether it's Oracle, whether it's PeopleSoft, or any other connection, or all of them at the same time. We are talking about a 90-minute installation process. That's an hour and a half, done via WebEx. We help you get connected, we help you get up and running, and we help you get set up as far as using the information that you have access to. There's certainly training involved on site with you and your team as far as understanding how the product works, again, even helping you build reports that you struggle and have challenges with. Now, what I'm about to show you is I call it the worst case scenario. I'm going to start from scratch. I don't have a template to base this on. I'm just going to use my imagination. It's called the worst case scenario, again, because you already have reports out there. We can convert FSG reports. We can convert any other Discover reports or any other Envision PeopleSoft reports that you have out there. We can insert our formula into those templates and bring them to life. We even have templates that are already built, a lot of pre-built content off of those different connections, so we also may have some options for you outside of your existing reports that you have in place. If we've exhausted both efforts, let's show you how to build a report using the Build a Template feature, as I mentioned, located in the center of the ribbon. Now, by clicking on that, you're going to see this Build a Template panel appear on the screen. Now, this panel is what guides you through the process. I call it the interface. The reason I call it that is because you do not have to have Oracle, PeopleSoft, or your connection open on another screen. You're not triggering some type of function inside of those environments in order for this to work. Opening Excel will automatically connect you to the data. This Build a Template interface is what gets you access to your information, and then you just take advantage of your existing setup and structure. Now, there are different formulas that handle the creation of your information and reports. The first, listed as GL value. That stands for General Ledger. So if you would like to use some type of GL type report building information, account numbers, divisions, cost centers, segmented data that you have today off of your GL, we automatically read it, you automatically can use it out of the box. Remember, we have a lot of customers on a lot of different platforms. Oracle and PeopleSoft are one of the bigger ones, the most popular. We've understood over the 20 years that we've been in existence that they're all built a little bit differently. So this panel is representing Oracle data. If you wanted to pull your PeopleSoft data, this panel would look a little bit different because it's built in a different way. It uses different segments, different account numbers, departments, cost centers, completely different acronyms as far as the segments themselves. And that's okay. We understand where the data sits, so when you open the Build a Template, it will read your information. So all that means is you have to answer the questions that are available on that connection. So if you wanted to pull in and change the worksheet that you're inserting the formula on, you can. Different balance types on this database. A stands for actual, B would stand for budget. That's how my Oracle system has been created, so it's just a selection. The B option, notice it populates the drop-down box right below. All of my budgets, forecasts, and plans are available. As far as the year, self-explanatory, just the year of data you'd like to start with, down to different formats, periods, quarters, year-to-date, life-to-date, and ranges, and then the period just represents the month. Now, some of you may be working multi-currency, global organizations. That's not a problem for us. We have companies today, Fortune 50 companies such as Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Hershey, just to name a few that are using this product. They have global installations, which means they may have multi-currency. They might want to deal with translations and related. Absolutely can do that, as you see here. You You may have different ledgers, different responsibilities. Again, each user is different in every system. Some have access to certain areas. We accommodate and read all of that, again, automatically. FSG report conversions. All I have to do is check this box. My FSGs populate here in the drop-down, hit Insert, and I can convert any report that I select. Account segments, the 5 that I have listed here. You might have 4, 2. We have a company right now that has 13 segments they use on their general ledger. Again, no minimum, no maximum. You let us know, we will read it, we'll set it up, you will instantly see that access information. Now, to the right of each segment, there's a button that says row. When you click on it, it changes it to a column. All that means is in the Excel perspective, will the data be in a column or a row? Will it go up and down or left to right? The value column has an asterisk symbol in it. That's just the wild card, as we mentioned. Well, I want to remove it and start filtering. I want company 1, department 410. I want some account numbers, so I'm just going to start typing in there. Now, I know what I'm looking for, but you may not. The little boxes to the right of each segment, these are lookup options. So if I click on them, it'll be an interactive, in this case, chart of accounts. You can filter by description. You can filter by account value. So you start typing and realize that the account number you need is not 7400, it's 7405. Double click on it and it will change the value in that cell. The range area, if I check this box here, that will allow me to put an ending account number in. So I'm looking at company 1, department 410, account numbers 7405 through 7600. The last part, line description. I created a category. What do I want to name it? So I'm just going to type in a description here. Again, all of this can be modified in just a second once I insert this into Excel. That insertion button is located at the bottom of the panel. Once you've satisfied with the criteria you selected, hit the Insert option, and you'll notice that formula now is automatically in the template. All of the parameters are in Excel, and now this is just an Excel feature. Copy, paste, start modifying everything that you previously identified. Again, it's the exact same process. It doesn't matter what database we're connected on. There are parameters and formulas you just modify and continue to start using. So if you would like to see quarter data and you want to compare that to year to date, and then you just want to drop in Excel in the template, such as a variance column, make that calculation, and then you can also just copy and paste down the spreadsheet if you need to. You want to drag and drop, you want to use the wild card as part of the search, you want to change all the descriptions that you're making or the categories, absolutely, you are in control. Different departments, you want a different year, you want to do ranges. Ranges are noted by a period, so a period between two numbers means it's going to pull all data together. And then in this last cell, I'm going to pull in 410, 430, 420, and create a consolidated total on 3 different departments. Now, if the formula is here, the drill down is here. You do not have to set that up. So notice, department 410, 420, and 430. One other feature that we want to talk about when it comes to formula creation is the ability to use this expand and collapse option. So I've created a category called repairs using a range of information. Well, this expand button, when you click on it, watch what it does to my template. It will pull in all of the accounts that were active in that range. It will also pull in their associated descriptions, their balances, with formulas still intact. Even the variance column is now represented. So instead of $64,000, I can compare it to where that may be most relevant. Leave the report in this format, or the reverse is just the collapse option. So again, one report can take on different forms. I've got this template created. If I wanted to copy this tab and then add a 12-month rolling report, I could just by using copy and paste. I do not always have to go through the build a template to set up a new report. Now, we also understand that you may want to pull data within your general ledger or maybe operational type reporting. So what I'm going to do is drop down here in cell A20, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to insert what we call a query. Maybe something outside of the general ledger, maybe something from a completely different connection. Well, that build a template again is where you will start. Now, we focused on the GL formula, but you may have noticed other formulas called query. Now, there are a couple of different query formulas here. just to describe the first two, the first one pulls in the value that you need, a summarized total. Just like I did on the GL, there would be a total that you would drill into. Well, the next formula down says detail. Well, that formula will give you the option to show all the detail instead of in a drill down panel inside your Excel spreadsheet. I'll walk you through this detailed option so you understand the differences or can see that in the report, but just know and understand that they are very similar in function. Now, the detailed option, because we're going against all the other modules inside of your database today or your connection, there are no predefined parameters listed. That's because AP is different than AR, which is different than fixed assets. So in this case, I want to be specific. I want to know what module I'm going against, or modules, because you can cross those. Again, I can pull AP data with purchase orders and inventory transactions if there's something that allows me to be able to do that, such as a transaction ID. Now, that query formula allows you to access queries as noted here. Now, notice there's a formula just to the right of that if I click on it, it will take me out to where the queries are stored. Now, remember, on different connections, we have pre-built content depending on which one you're discussing. So I'm also connected to all of those different connections, as you can see here in this panel that appeared. So this is just a file structure inside of your location, inside of your company's organization, or inside of your company's network, where you set up files and store this type of information. We help you do that during training. We help you explain that a little bit more on a detailed presentation. But certainly understand, again, a lot of information is already available for you to use. So my folders are named by connection. Again, to stay with the Oracle theme, you'll see a PeopleSoft folder here. If you just double-click on them, this is what a query looks like. Accounts receivable. You want to pull in asset book values. You want to create other subfolders that are accessible into that information, you absolutely can. But just by double-clicking on a query, you will notice that's where the parameters are sitting. Now, to insert this into the Excel spreadsheet, it's the row versus column concept, just like on the GL. So make your selections. My parameters are here. I've already have some predefined ones that I'm going to leave for today's conversation. But I also have to do two more things. I want to include the column headings, and I also need to tell the system where I want to start the detail. Starting cell, range, or table. So you can use all three if you'd like. But in this case, I need to pick a cell where I want the detail to start. Well, I have to accommodate for the parameters that are here, so I'm going to guess somewhere around cell A35 is going to be my selection. Now, I can modify that here in just a second. Now, by hitting the Insert button, now remember, I picked cell A35. That's close enough. I didn't want to butt it right up against my formula, so leaving it here will work just fine for me. Here are the parameters, and here's the formula. Now, if I want to drill down, I can. If there's a formula in the template, I can see my information instantly. But instead of working in this drill down panel, because I want to send this to someone else who needs to see it, then all I have to do is one additional step, which is to generate the detail in the spreadsheet. So there's a Generate Reports button. I want the selected detail for this report. So by clicking on that option, you will see in just a second that all of my information now, instead of in a drill down panel, is in my template. So GL data, non-GL operational type data, whether it's in a summarized or detailed fashion, is up to you. That's just a selection through the Build a Template. All the other Excel functions, charts and graphs and borders and colors, pivot tables, VLOOKUPs. Again, we'll talk about how you distribute to make this more visually appealing, and again, also to get it out to the different audience members that you may have out there. But now we're giving you access to everything you need in a very simple-to-use interface and format. Now, as far as visually appealing, I'm going to show you this account inquiry report where we have taken and just added some additional Excel functions to this. Run buttons, the parameters and all the colors and filters that we've applied. Remember, anything in Excel still works. So in this case, just to show you how this report generates, I'm going to change a parameter, and by clicking on a Run Transactions button, you're going to see this report update and pull all information related to account 7410. As a matter of fact, for you Oracle folks, this is a Discoverer converted report. It was taking our customer 45 minutes to run this report, and we now have it down to 4. So not only do we help with performance and efficiencies, you're now getting access to all of your data, again, in that area where you're going to dump it anyway. Now, from the detailed version to even being able to create dashboards. Here's an example of a report where we're using that same AR aging query in a summarized fashion, combining charts and graphs. But the great part about this report is even though it's summarized, it's still interactive. So if I want to change the aging buckets, remember, formulas and drill downs, I can still have access to that information. Revenue for the last 6 months, inventory that's being maintained by a category lookup option. So if you'd like to filter through based off whatever your inventory levels are, select, and the report will update again as up-to-date as your system is today. And even a little cash flow down in the bottom right. All areas, again, drillable, including the cash flow. So that's just a small overview of the report building capability, different types of reports that can be created, and some of the other Excel features that can be added, again, like these run buttons and charts and graphs. It's really up to the user how far you want to take it. If someone wants to be the report builder, they certainly can be shared with everyone else who would like to see it.
Hey, Kevin, I wanted to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did have a question come in, so I just wanted to make sure we touched on that as soon as we could. I had a question about training and how that's handled. Do you want to answer that?
Sure, absolutely I can. So one of the things that I mentioned just briefly is that we're doing an overview here today of the product. Now, certainly, if you decide to move in a direction of using a spreadsheet server, there is training involved. Training can be as short as 2 days and up to 5. So again, we'll work with you on that where you feel comfortable, maybe what you need. Most of the training is focused on the ability to not only understand what all of the functions are on the ribbon, which is, again, a small part of that. The largest part of the training is actually report building, helping you convert reports, understanding how you can get your data. You already have it in the correct format. You just don't like how you have to update it manually and do data dumps. So we'll help you streamline that the best that we can. You're driving the product. You just have some industry expert from our organization on site helping you guide through that process, getting the best practices in place. So again, 2 to 5 days, understanding what you need. Again, multiple connections can be done. Absolutely. We don't charge by connection. We actually just charge by user. So one user can have 3 connections. The other user can only have 1. Again, you can control that. Good question.
And Kevin, I had one other one, but I think it came in before you showed the build the templates, so it might have already been answered. But they said they invested a lot of time in their current reporting strategy and just making sure they weren't limited to the templates that you've shown, but can actually use their existing Excel reports as well.
Yes, absolutely. Again, we have canned reports, as we like to say, that we already have built in case you don't have a structure in place. But most organizations that we talk to already do. Unless you're switching to a new ERP or a new general ledger or something and you don't have information set up, in most cases what we leverage are your existing. Certainly we have some, and then again with the ability of the build a template to create your own.
All right, perfect. That's all the questions I had for now, but everyone please do, if you have any others, please use the Q&A to submit additional questions. Thanks, Kevin.
Sure. Well, again, we've talked about report creation, and now what we're going to transition over to is the ability to distribute reports to the individuals who need them. Remember, everything that we've shown so far and discussed involves this spreadsheet server ribbon. You have to have the ribbon in order to have live data and drill down and refresh capabilities. Well, that's not feasible. It's not cost effective. Maybe it's an external individual who may need to see this report, such as a lending institution. You calculate your debt covenants, all those, and all related. So you need to distribute to the bank. Well, how do you do that without having a license? Well, this ribbon will give you access to the distribution manager. Now, that distribution, again, it's part of the ribbon itself. It's not an additional fee to have that. If you have the ribbon, we can even restrict who has access to it, but you will be able to distribute this information out to certain individuals. I do also want to mention that for the Oracle customers, if write-back is a need, notice we have a spreadsheet write-back capability where we utilize APIs, which is a known write-back function. It allows us to have validation of the data to make sure that you're writing back correctly into the system. So again, ultimately, spreadsheet write-back is also an option for our Oracle customers. So you can pull data, do mass uploads. AP folks can upload invoices instead of going through all the forms and screens inside of Oracle. Again, just simplifying the process, and that's also available under that one spreadsheet server ribbon. But now, focusing on that distribution, notice I have a tab here labeled Distribution Control. What this tab does is just that. It controls the distribution via a list that you create and set up. And like a report, once this is built, it's always built. How did this tab get created? How do you set this up? Well, again, it's part of the ribbon itself, but this new control sheet button at the top of that area will bring up that same name, distribution control. You hit create, insert it into Excel. Now, as far as distribution lines, let me show you how to add a fourth in this report, and I'll copy and paste and even add more. It's a very simple setup. The next button down says Maintain Specs. Now, when I click on that button, you'll see a panel very similar in function to the Build-A-Template that will walk you through the process of generating some type of distribution. Now, as far as types, you want to file save it, just like we're doing here, you absolutely can. You have access to be able to scroll out and store that report wherever you need to. If you would like to email it, we connect into your existing email application. So keep in mind, when you set up an email in Excel, it's going to use your existing email address. It's not going to be new. It's not going to say Global Software Spreadsheet Server. Your existing structure will be used. When you send it, it will go through your sent items, and if someone responds, it will come back into your inbox where you can monitor it there instead of in Excel. Remember, this is just an interface into your other connections and data. We can even do SharePoint sites, URLs, however you'd like to. You can even use this as just as a general email tool if you need to. Different file types, all the different versions of Excel, CSV, HTML, PDF, even Word document conversion. These will happen whenever you distribute the file. Modification of cells. Remember, there are parameters and formulas in every template. Well, what happens when you modify a parameter? It updates the report with new data. So why don't we do that while we distribute? So instead of creating, as an example, 25 different departmental income statements or profit and loss reports, let's have Spreadsheet Server create those when we distribute. So even though I have one tab here called Profit and Loss, I can modify these cells and parameters as we send the reports out. So if Glennon needs to see Department 410, I can add it. If he also needs to see it for the month of June or July, you just make those modifications, as many as you need on as many reports and tabs that you have. So that allows you, again, for consistent reporting, just applying new data into the spreadsheet. Specifying the worksheets. Drop-down list here, again, the same tabs that are in this workbook. Well, I want to send the profit and loss. I also want to send an account inquiry report because I want all of the detail to go with the spreadsheet. Now, when you select the reports, notice some additional options appear. Where it says protect, if I check those boxes, that's going to allow me to apply passwords. Now, the passwords are there, so someone will need a password to open it or someone to modify it. Where are those passwords stored? Right here on this miscellaneous tab, opening the workbook or just modifying it. Just an added level of security and also locks the reports down from being accidentally changed, modified, or deleted. Now, the most important decision you'll make when using the distribution is whether the formulas will stay or if the live data will stay. Again, it's an option for you as far as converting the formulas to values. Where it says global only, that refers to the formula that we inserted via the Build-A-Template, that lengthy formula that we don't ask you to memorize or understand, but certainly can be removed from the template. Now, by doing that, that will remove the live access and the drill down, but that means the spreadsheet can be sent to anyone. That also means that the individual who opens it up does not have to have access to that ribbon. Now, if you want them to have live data, you can do the no conversion feature. That means the formula will stay, the drill down and refresh stay, but they also need to have a user license into the product, which means this ribbon will be in their workbook. Recalculation options. By checking the box or the radio button here, you want to ensure that all the most recent journal entries are applied. That recalculation option will do that. Email. Just like I mentioned, connecting into your existing email application. So my contact list, address book, filter through, select an email, and just like you do today, type in the subject line, type down here in the panel. After the passwords, if you have macros built into your workbook, so those fancy run buttons that I was using, we can run those right here in the process. We can even add additional documentation. You want to scroll out, grab something that needs to go as well, PDF documents, PowerPoints, that will also go along with that information. Now, by hitting the push button, that will not distribute. But what that will do is add the new distribution line. You can modify it here, or you can modify it in the spreadsheet. Now, modification can take on a couple of different flavors. You can copy and paste. Because we're reading address books, we can come in here and start typing in. So if I want to send reports out to different folks, all I need to do is type in their names because we're reading that setup. Individuals need different access, PDF versus static Excel spreadsheets, even down to being able to see different departments and functions and criteria in reports. All you have to do is make the change, even being able to send, again, specific information to specific individuals. All we're doing is setting up a list for your distribution. Once it's set up, it's always set up. So the 6 pieces of information I have here can now be distributed using that distribute option, where we can distribute all 6 at one time. You can highlight the ones that you want to send and do a selected option, or we even have a scheduling capability. Reports can be sent down to a specific minute, day, week, month, year, even on a recurring basis. So if you're sending out weekly reports, as one of our customers is doing, Trader Joe's, the large grocery store chain, they have 450 locations that they're sending their inventory reports to on every single Friday of the month. They have them all set up here. They dynamically go, they're updated, they're converted, whatever the options are for that individual, and therefore it's taken them 4 days down to 4 hours. So start to finish, we create reports. We build and modify reports to being able to distribute, hence the motto, start in Excel, stay in Excel. So I'm going to pause here. Glenn, and I'm sure we've got some questions, so go ahead, and if you've got some, feel free to read those off to me.
Yeah, excellent. I had another one come in about canned templates and where those are stored. I guess the question asked if they could be accessed from the Global Software website.
It's a good question, and the answer is they can. So there's a couple of things that go on about the canned reports. When we come on site with the training, typically we get upfront information from you. What do you want to focus on? What are your areas you struggle and challenge? What areas do you access? The trainer will bring a lot of this content with you or with them to you so you can have access to it. Now, if you're on site and we didn't bring the right information or we need access to additional data, inside of this build a template area, there was access right here. There's this little globe/magnifying glass. What that will do is take you out to where that additional information is stored. So you select the ERP that you're on, and the data will appear here by simply hitting the search button. So this is the access to, again, if the trainer doesn't bring what they need or maybe they didn't bring enough, this is through this query exchange is where you'll be able to get this information, and this is constantly being updated. From the trainers who are always on site with the customers, they have specific challenges or need some new information, we're sharing that with all of those other individuals through this area. Other questions, Glennon?
That's actually all the questions I had come in so far, Kevin. Thank you.
Okay. Well, again, if you have questions, we still have a little bit of time here. I'm just going to speak a little bit more about the product itself and mentioning that, again, remember, this is Oracle and PeopleSoft that we talked about here today. Specifically, Oracle data is what I focused on from a presentation perspective. But it doesn't matter where the data is sitting. We can grab it, you can report on it, and eventually you can distribute it through that Excel ribbon. Remember, it's a 90-minute install. We train you 24/7 support desk, all the support and documents you need, such as training manuals and videos, and again, templates and pre-built content. We make the transition as easy as we can. We help you do it the best that we can. But knowing with our 5,000-plus customer base, we've got a lot of feedback out there. We have referenceable customers that certainly speak to you about their specific challenges, how they adopted it. And again, I'm a former user. I went through this process. We used it on Oracle. We converted FSGs and Discovers and Envision reports, certainly being able to now take those into Excel. And if you happen to change ERPs or general ledgers or databases, Spreadsheet Server still works because once you buy this, it's yours to keep. So as much as you want to pull it and as much as you want to use it, that's really why we turn it over to the customer to be able to do that. So at this point, Glennon, additional comments or questions? I'm going to pull up the contact slide here so individuals can have access to that on their screen. But certainly, if there are additional questions, we will answer those now and certainly talk about them. Yeah,
Kevin, I hadn't had any other questions come in at this point. I think that was a great overview for them. So again, as Kevin said, my contact information is on the screen now, Glennon Andrews, glennon.andrews@globalsoftwareinc.com. So feel free to reach out to me via email or via the phone number. And as Kevin said earlier in the presentation, this is really meant to be just a quick overview for you. If you do want to see a more detailed demonstration, feel free to contact me or reach out via our website, and we'll be happy to schedule that one-on-one time to dive into some maybe more specific examples that you would like for the presentation. So thank everyone for their time today. We appreciate you joining us for this and hope we've shown you some ways how Spreadsheet Server can help streamline your reporting. So thank you all and have a great rest of your day.